Okay. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to our last WEHack Empower Series workshop. You can use the QR code on the slide to sign in. Please know that this session is being recorded and will be available on the WEHack UTD YouTube after this session. Tonight we're kicking off WEHack with an awesome presentation from our presenting sponsor, Toyota. Our presenters are Jonathan, Mike, and Robert, and together they have about 50 years of experience at Toyota. We're so fortunate to have them speak with us, and they'll be speaking to us about robotics process automation. And now I'll pass it off to them.
Well,
Robert,
please.
are you on mute? There you go.
Did you want me to go first, Mike? Or?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Rob Stamish. I am the senior manager or director over the TMNA RPA COE. And so we are the group that brings automation around RPA to the rest of our business. Toyota Motor originally was founded in Japan in 1937. Came to the United States with their first office, a sales office in Hollywood in 1957. The first manufacturing plant was a joint venture with GM that started in 1984. That was in Fremont, California, which is up by San Francisco. Fun fact, that is now the Tesla plant. When the recession happened, GM pulled out and we ended up partnering with Tesla and then eventually selling it to Tesla. And that's their plant today. Toyota has grown in the US, obviously. We now have 10 plants across the United States and employ about 137,000 employees in both manufacturing and non-manufacturing jobs. And Toyota is ranked as one of the top 10 companies for diversity and inclusion in the United States, which is a great honor. Two of the key pillars of Toyota are Kaizen, which is continuous improvement and respect for people. And RPA is one of those things that fits so tightly in with those ideals. We are trying to take an automation first mindset whenever we can. We look at the things that can be automated and we drive to get them automated if we can. We start to ask ourselves questions, right? What if we could reduce waste? What if we could reduce muda across the organization and free up people to do better work, faster work, more value added work? And when you think about it that way, you start thinking about it as freeing up people to do different things. And that is kind of how we look at this automation first mindset. If you could hire more people, what would you do with those people? And you invert that and you say, if I could free up the time of people I already have, how could I better use that? And so that's kind of our mindset and one of our goals. The mindset is really not around reducing people, it's about freeing up people. And so of really getting into the muda or the work that doesn't add value and allowing those people to focus on the value added work. Just like in a factory where we have robots that are doing the work that doesn't need a human's thought or a human's touch or dexterity, same thing can be applied with robotic process automation. It's a software tool that does the work of a person in the same way that a person does. And so that's kind of the intro to the mindset and the thinking around what drives Toyota towards going to automation. I'm going to turn over to Mike to talk a little bit about what we do here and how we do it, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Rob. Hi, everyone. Appreciate everybody taking the time on a Friday afternoon to talk about this exciting technology. My name is Michael Baviak, and I am the Domain Information Officer for Toyota Financial Services. Part of my oversight and responsibility is the robotic process automation technologies. little couple fun facts about TFS. We started. I've been with the company for 13 years, and I began my IT career back in 1999 as a telecom specialist, telecom engineer, and worked my way through various areas of technology to get to where I'm at now, 13 years later at Toyota, overseeing this really exciting technology. Toyota Financial Services, or also known as TFS, started back in 1983. Company of 8 people at that time. We've now grown to over 3,000 with over $100 billion in managed assets. And that actually puts us as one of the leading auto finance companies in the world. So we've grown substantially over the years, and we've done that really by working smarter at times as opposed to harder. And what I want to talk about now is how RPA can help you do those types of things. The interesting thing about a software robot, its primary objective is to mimic human actions. So there's different forms of automation. There's embedded automation with systems today. There can be automation at a grand scale that's being done maybe on integrations and things like that. But for the purpose of RPA, it's really designed for you to be able to program a robot, essentially, to log into systems and move files around, copy and paste. You can fill in forms, write and read to various databases, open emails, send emails. It can make calculations based on the codes that you program into the robot. And it has the ability to scrape data off of screens, and it has the ability to do what a human does, but it can do it in the background. So it has an opportunity here to, you don't have to rewrite your systems to be able to accommodate this level of automation. You're basically programming a robot to log into a system as a human would do and perform those actions. As long as you're capable of writing that code and understanding what it needs to do, it's generally going to work with anything that you want it to work with. Next slide. So one of the most important things that I have found in this particular part of technology is really understanding what could be automated and what shouldn't be automated. One of the when leveraging RPA, one of the golden rules is that you don't want to put a robot on a bad process. So you want to take a look at what that process is, understand it end to end, and really be able to go in there and fix anything within that process, whatever is required to be done, to get that process as reliable and bulletproof, for lack of a better term, before it can really be automated by a robot. So a lot of these processes around operational efficiencies that you're going to be able to gain from being able to do that is all going to be dependent on whether or not that process that you intend to automate is as efficient as possible. And the best things to automate really are these high volume, manual, highly repetitive processes that you may have a workforce that is just there pushing buttons and moving files around all day. To Robert's point, you put a robot on this to do that. We could take those folks that were doing that work and move them to more value-added work within the organization. Next slide. In this particular slide, we want to really talk a little bit about what robots can do and how they're actually being used today at Toyota Financial. We have a developer from my team, Jonathan, that I'd like to introduce to you that is really responsible day to day to develop and analyze and build the bots that do a variety of these tasks that we do at TFS today. So, Jonathan.
Good evening, everybody. So first off, I am a UTD graduate. I graduated in 2013, so whoosh. My experience, I don't have nearly as much experience as either Robert or Mike do. I've been working in IT for about 5 years. 2 years of that I've been lucky enough to be here at TFS. So if you were paying attention, you may have noticed I said I have a background in psychology. That's my degree. So what am I doing working in IT? Psychology is, broadly speaking, the art or science of understanding human minds, but understanding people really doesn't actually get anything done. You have to do something with it. So what do you do with a psychology degree if you're really not interested in being a therapist? So I got an interest in working with computers vis-a-vis people when I was in my third year of my undergrad through human-computer interaction, HCI. HCI, you deal with it every day, and most of the times, if it's good, you don't even notice. HCI is a well-designed door or an iPod or a Mac laptop. It's a design that makes it easy for people to just be people and still use technology. So in the age of COVID, you can kind of see how really important, even more than it was a year ago, it is to have good, smooth interactions between people and objects, right? This meeting is a great example. This is interpersonal, but it's object mediated. Most of our lives now are object mediated. Bottom line, I really care about people. That's why I have a degree in psychology. But the best way I can really help people is to improve the way they work with machines in their day-to-day life. So why RPA specifically? One of the things I like about RPA is it provides here and now benefits. I like to call it the duct tape of technology, among other things. Sometimes you can imagine in your mind, if you're a coder or a designer, some kind of pie in the sky dream of what an integrated is. We're going to have the best tool, perfect software, the infrastructure will be amazing, and everyone will be happy forever after. Well, that's great, but it isn't here and now, right? RPA delivers quickly here and now, and I really like that because I like to see results. RPA is person, we've already spoken to it, but RPA aims to do what people do, right? Not process centric. We're not looking to get rid of people's jobs. We're looking to make people's lives easier. RPA brings the sort of quality life improvements that people tend to imagine in their minds when they think about automation helping them. Right? Rather than it completely doing away with their job function, it makes their job function less tedious. The sort of qualities that make a process fit for RPA automation, well, that's redundant, RPA, are also the qualities that sort of define work you might call soul crushing, right? High attention to detail, repetitive, boring. Nobody wants to do these sorts of things with their life. So not only are you improving efficiency in the business, you're also helping people have a better life. Speaking to how I got here myself and what kind of person, what kind of skills you need to work in this field, I did grow up around computers. There was less common for my generation than it is for people in their 20s now. Just about everybody has a smartphone, right? So everybody has a strong familiarity with working with computers. The best part about RPA and really doing is, despite what your degree plan might tell you, you do not need heavy-duty math skills to be a software developer or a designer. I failed calculus twice, right? So if you're looking at IT and you think, I don't know if I can do that, I don't really have the acumen in math, or I don't feel like I want to spend the rest of my life doing something that is so hard and granular, don't worry. There's a lot of opportunity for people who care about the lives of people and the work that they do, improving those lives, and have the kind of mindset to look for ways that our technology can help people and enable them rather than phase people out or make them obsolete. An example of how we do that here at TFS, to speak specifically, so if you were to go to get a car loan today, back in the day, you might imagine there's like fax machines and reams of paper, and that is generally not the case anymore. Most of the time, it's a digital contract of some sort, right? The kind of system-to-system integration that Robert spoke about. That isn't always the case, though. So we had a pilot project here at TFS to automate the receipt and entry of paper contracts. So someone faxes in a paper contract, some human being who's cursed with this has to read that paper contract, get all the details out of it, manually enter it into a system. That is not the sort of thing that we either want our skilled analysts to be spending their time doing, and nobody wants to do that, right? But RPA can do it. A bot never gets tired. A bot never fat fingers numbers. It can do it without fail, and it frees up people to have a more meaningful work experience.
Bots never call in sick. They can work all night. And for the most part, as long as they're programmed correctly, they're much more accurate than a human could be. Next slide.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. I think that was really good. The one, the thing that I picked up on is there's this perfect world of if you were designing a system today, it would be fantastic. But in a company like Toyota that's been around for 50 years, you have this giant mix of legacy systems that were never meant to integrate. And so a process may touch 5 or 6 different systems to get something done. RPA can be the bridge between all those things as opposed to a person doing it. This is the last slide, and then we're going to have a really quick video of RPA in action. But most of the automation that has been done, both for TFS and for TM&A, has been what is called unattended automation. And basically what you're doing is you're writing the code, you're building the bot to do the work that's controlled by an orchestrator, either on a schedule or based on an event. That bot then goes and executes all of the steps that need to happen. This is great for things like, copying contracts or moving data from one place to another, things like that. But occasionally we've seen that there is examples that you want a bot to interact with a person at the same time. In this case, this is called an attended bot, and it's really a bridge between RPA and the user. This is an actual process. This is the only attended process that we've put in TM&A so far. And what this depicts is one of our customer service representatives receives an email from Toyota.com, and it's from someone outside the United States. And so there are certain steps that they have to take if they do that, because we don't respond to foreign entities around product queries or things like that. So the original process, the agent would go look up the IP address, verify that they're a foreign entity. They would then classify the email. They'd do a response to it based on some templates. They'd send it. They'd update the system, the contact system, make sure that everything's good. And this could take up to 10 to 15 minutes to go end to end on this. In this example, we're showing an attended bot. And so what happens is when that user suspects that it's from a foreign entity, all they do is click a button. They fire up the bot. The bot then goes and checks the location. It looks at the IP address that the email came from, and it sends a message back to the user and says, "Hey, it's from a foreign." Then the user says, "Okay, is it which category is it?" They pick the button. The bot then grabs the template, pulls the contact information from the email, creates the response email back to the original customer that sent the inquiry, then sends it back to the customer service rep and says, "Hey, is this what you want to send?" The rep can then add additional information if they want, or if they say it's good, they push the button, it's good. It goes back to the bot. The bot sends the email and then updates the case record. So it takes out probably 2/3 of the work that the person had to do. The quality is the same, the work is the same, and the end result is the same. But we've eliminated a bunch of the work that really didn't add value, the looking up things and the moving things and copying the template. So I just wanted to share that. We use UiPath here, which is one of the top quality or top-notch products, but there's also Blue Prism and other products that do RPA. Microsoft is doing a lot in that space right now. So they've moved into a product called Power Automate. And in the future, most of our end user automations will probably be on the Power Automate platform. But this one is actually a UiPath product as well. So the one other thing that I was going to show is, hopefully, is a video. This is a video that kind of shows a side-by-side comparison of the bot doing the work, or the human doing the work, and the bot doing the work. This is a video on series allocation. Toyota has 31 different series, and so that's a RAV4 or a RAV4 hybrid or a Tacoma or a Tundra. Each one of those has to have an allocation every month. And what that is how many can we build? How many can we deliver? And so what's the mix of those? What's the color? What's the right flavor? What's the right accessory pack? And that then gets built out to the manufacturing to figure out what we're going to build. It then gets shipped to the dealers. So we'll go through this video. Really what you're going to see in the allocation is you'll see a side-by-side. It's sped up, so we don't have to watch 20 minutes of someone clicking around in Excel spreadsheets. But really, you'll see how much it cuts out. And there's kind of two aspects to the work that it cuts out. One, the bot executes the activities in a much shorter time period. And also, it's eliminated all of the activity. So even it's really an elimination of a full 21 minutes per series, but it's executing not in 21 minutes that a human does, but in a much smaller time frame.
To everyone on the call, if you think that the 21 minutes is, oh, I was expecting it to do it a lot faster than that. The 21 minutes adds up when you look at repeated cycles and repeated people that are doing these. You'd be surprised when you look at the end game here, how many hours are really saved. I believe in this one alone, you had over 800 hours that was saved just with this bot.
Yep.
That's significant to a company like Toyota to be able to have 800 hours back to give back to other things that those folks could be working on.
That's it for our presentation. I think we're going to move to Q&A at this point, if anybody has any.
You guys can feel free to unmute yourselves or send your questions in the chat.
We were that good that we don't get a question.
Yes, let's go with that.
Or we confused everyone.
Yeah, that too. We forgot to tell you guys it'll be a test. We didn't.
Well, I didn't study for it.
This is Becky Hedges. I have a question.
Sure, Becky.
So as these hackers are getting ready to embark on their projects this weekend, we just learned about the robotics automation and how that can save time and increase accuracy. These hackers don't know what their challenge questions are going to be yet, or have just found those out. What are 2 or 3 key aspects that you would tell them to think about with regard to automation as they're going through their challenge projects this weekend?
I can take that if you
Sure.
like. So I'd say probably the 2 biggest things when you're talking about, just broadly speaking, challenge questions, problem solving, business use cases, whatever the format, right? The 2 big things that RPA brings to the table. One is system to system integration, where there is no true integration possible, right? Robert spoke to this as well. So if you're working in a municipality or a small business or a large enterprise that's had technology since before you were even born, all those things are not going to want to talk to each other, right? And RPA does help facilitate easily putting those pieces together and taking data from system A and putting it in system B. And it does this without, it's agnostic to whatever system it's working with, right? It doesn't have a limitation, generally speaking, to what kind of data it can work with or what kind of systems it can interact with. I'd say, and the second point of that is ease of implementation. So learning a new programming language takes time. Learning a new tool takes time. One of the nice things about most RPA tools, and UiPath in specific, is that basically it's a graphic interface front for scripting language. And it's drag and drop. It has named activities. So you don't have to worry about code syntax. You don't have to worry about compiling. You don't have to worry about debugging your code, only debugging the process itself. It's a fast, relatively simple solution. When you got a square hole and a round peg, it'll get it done.
I would say something that comes to mind is don't let great be the enemy of good. So with RPA or anything else, you may have a grandiose vision that I could do 27 steps and solve this giant problem, and it may just not be possible. And so with RPA and I think with any solutioning, there's an opportunity to say, are there components that I could do? If I could deliver the first 7 steps and then have a break, and then maybe a person has to do something, and maybe a person has to make a decision that then triggers another process, those are perfectly acceptable answers. Certainly, you need humans in the loop in a lot of these things. And sometimes you have to include a human in the loop because there is no other way to solve the problem. But that's still a win. If you look at eliminating a bunch of the waste or eliminating half of the work, you've eliminated half the work. And so don't be afraid of not being a fully inclusive solution.
It's a great point, Rob. Clarifying your problem is also something I would recommend. Truly understand what you are trying to solve for and break down your problem in individual bite-sized pieces. The saying of don't try to eat the elephant in one bite at a time, that would be my advice as well.
All right. It looks like we have a question in the chat. So Rosie is asking, is RPA a cobot since it works with humans?
I could take a crack at that. So when we describe the various types of bots, the attended versus unattended bot. An unattended bot, for the sake of what Toyota Financial is using it for, essentially runs on a server, runs on a scheduler, and could either be triggered by time, day, or an event. So it essentially could replace whatever the human was doing, and it would be running in the background on its own, and that person's doing something else. The attended bot, or to what we spoke to, where it's a bot that actually would reside, or would actually be on that person's desktop, is a supplement to that human. So the human could be going out and just doing whatever work that they need to do, and part of their job is, well, I got to go check for these emails all the time, and I need to make sure that I'm on top of this, or I've got to crunch these numbers in these spreadsheets by 3 o'clock every day so that the accounting department has that. Meanwhile, I've got a million other things I got to get done. You could have a bot running in the background on your machine that's doing those calculations for you, allowing you to kind of be able to divide and conquer and actually have the ability to do 2 jobs with one. Does that answer your question?
And I think if I could just expand on that a little tiny bit, right? Our bots, they are for all intents and purposes within our system, they are people. So they have a ID within HR. They have a username and password and login. They get assigned rights and privileges the same way with the same approval process as a normal person does. And that, again, that is the unattended bot. And attended bot generally uses that person's credentials and uses that person's login to do operations for them. And so for intents and purposes, they're an extension of a human. So that's kind of the 2 use cases there.
There was another question here about, not super relevant to RPA, but what are our favorite Toyota vehicles? All right. I love the Supra. I'm just a big guy. I can't fit in it comfortably, but I've had Tundras for the last 5 years and absolutely love them. And I'm looking forward to the 2021 complete redesign of that pickup truck. So.
And I have a 4Runner that I like a lot. I would have a Tundra if I could fit it in my garage, but I am scared to death of hail damage, so I have a 4Runner.
Cool. Does anyone have any other questions? You can unmute yourselves or send them in the chat. Okay. So it looks like we don't have any other questions. So feel free to stick around. We will have our WEHack team building after this. But I just want to say thank you to everyone from Toyota who could be here. We learned a lot and it was very insightful. And thank you for shifting your schedules to speak with us and all of our WEHackers.
Absolutely.
You're very welcome.
Good luck to everybody.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, good luck this weekend, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello. Hi guys. Okay, so now we're going to have our WEHack We Meet. But before we do that, I just wanted to present another tech that you guys, another like kind of technology that you guys can use during WEHack. So let me just let you guys know about that. Okay. So we also have another piece of technology that you guys can use. It'll be in the hacker resources, and you can find the hacker resources on the WEHack guide on Notion. But it's from this platform called Echo AR. And so they're an augmented reality and virtual reality cloud computing company. And so they've created a platform for our WEHackers to use during WEHack to use Echo AR's products in your project. And so if you do use the project, then you'll automatically be entered to have a chance at winning an Amazon gift card. And so these are the links. So tomorrow, actually in the morning, from 9:30 to 10:15 a.m. CST. So there'll be a demo from Echo AR. And so you can use this link to join. And then you can also use the second link to use Echo AR in your project. And then there's also a full recorded tutorial on YouTube using the last link. And so this information will also be available in your hacker guide. Yeah. And I'll also send that in the chat here. It's at 9:30 in the morning tomorrow. Also, you guys can feel free to unmute yourselves. So now we'll kind of be moving our team building onto the Discord. So I'll go ahead and send our Discord link in this chat. And what you guys can do is, oh, I'm still sharing my screen.
All right, so I posted the Discord link in the chat, so y'all should be able to see that and head on over to Discord. And once you do that, you should, so if you're not already on our server, you should land in the rules channel. And once you're there, be sure to hit that thumbs up reaction because then only you'll gain access to all of the other channels on our server. And that's what you need to be able to participate and like actually talk with us during the whole event tomorrow and day after tomorrow.
Yeah, so when you guys are there, you can join. There's a category for WEHack We Meet in the server. And so there are a couple of voice channels there. So you guys can go ahead and join those. There's voice 1, voice 2, voice 3. I'll add a few more, but you guys can jump off of this call and go ahead and join those voice channels. And I'll be sending messages in the WEHack We Meet text channel when I'm about to move you guys so you meet other people. So go ahead and use the Discord link in the chat, and I'll wait until everyone's left.
You can stop recording, Maha.
Oh yeah, I forgot. How do I stop?
Hey. That was good. Yeah.